Hey y'all, hey, happy June. I am coming from live on June the 3rd. I'm a little late. I thought I had already recorded this, but I didn't. And so today I'm going to talk really quickly for our Healing and Joy theme, which is boundaries and self-respect, or boundaries as self-respect. Um, Obviously, you see what I just did. I cut my locks earlier this week, just cut them shorter. And so I washed my hair. And so I figured I'd still just go ahead and record because I am who I am and I'm beautiful no matter if my hair is did or not. And before I get twisted, I figure I can just do a quick video on boundaries as self-respect. So, welcome to June. I'm a little late, like I said, just 3 days, but last month we slowed down. We talked about just slowing things down in general. We started listening to our bodies in a different way. We became more about creating a space for rest and restoration. And now we are going to build on that because the nervous system starts to settle. You begin to notice that anything can disturb your peace. This month, we're going to center it mostly on boundaries. Sorry, my phone went off. Boundaries as self respect, not punishment, not distance for the sake of distance, but alignment. And I think that's important because I'm not a person that's going to say, let's just cut everyone off. Let's not have these grand relationships that mean so much to us. But let's start here. A lot of us were never taught that healthy boundaries actually look a certain way. We're taught to be available, to accommodate, to be understanding, to kind of always be the one to keep the peace, even when it meant kind of abandoning ourselves for others to be happy. So now, as we start to look at what boundaries are really, I wanted to start there because I know it can be uncomfortable. It can feel selfish to not name it and kind of claim the truth of what we were taught boundaries mean, which is that, you know, you are not going to have people in your life. They're going to always be, they're not going to have a level of accountability in you. So you start to think that being available or accommodating and understanding is part of being this good person in the relationship. And, and what I really hope that we talk about today is boundaries are not about rejection, or boundaries are not about rejection and looking at what's wrong with something or someone. It's really about just giving a recognition and recognizing to what matters to you, what you need, what you feel. Excuse me, what you are no longer willing to carry. It's really not about rejecting all these other things, but really recognizing in yourself what you need to find peace, to be happy, to be understood, to feel heard or feel seen, in a way that still honors you. So let's just be honest, why this is so difficult for many of us is that boundaries come across as some form of a risk. We have the risk of disappointing people, being misunderstood, losing connections, being labeled difficult or too much. And if you're safety, emotional, or historically, we tie everything to a level of comfort, regardless of how we view the word comfortable or comfort in ourselves. We've created what has worked for us. So, of course, boundaries feel threatening, and there's a risk that we're going to take because at this point, if we're honest, they are risk. Because it's about protecting you now. It's about taking yourself out of this position of being stuck to recognizing that you have needs that deserve to be communicated. So not just judging that version of you that kind of was in without boundaries or without barriers around what people can do or say to you, just updating it and thinking that this is what boundaries are going to do. It's going to update how I look at myself and the importance of centering myself in relationships while also acknowledging that the connections that I deserve and desire require that other person to do the same thing. So let's make this practical. Boundaries are not just this big conversation. They show up in everyday choices. Boundaries sound like saying things, I'm not available for you right now. I need more time before I respond. That doesn't work for me. I'm choosing to rest today. Look, like literally, it's a random Wednesday and I chose to wash my hair in the middle of the week when I know that I could have scheduled another appointment or did some grand um, version of this video to make it pretty and more beautiful. But the reality is that me choosing to do it in a very much about supporting the community while also supporting my own needs this is a boundary that shows up for me in this way today. And sometimes boundaries are silent. They are no words. They're just not answering immediately, not over explaining or engaging in these ultraly draining conversations. It's not volunteering yourself for everything that costs too much, like time, emotion, friendship that just doesn't seem reciprocal. Boundaries are not always spoken, is my point. You can feel your way through what you need to create boundaries. And so when we're thinking about making them practical, that day to day is just going to be about what am I what am I saying yes to and what am I saying no to? And what works for me and what doesn't work for me? And then that silent things that we can start practicing is not answering immediately. So I turn on my do not disturb at 9 o'clock every evening, and only a few people come through as my contacts if something was an emergency. But most people know that because of the work that I do, at a certain point I need to unwind and be present in my own marriage. And so I think about it from that perspective. It's not a conversation I'm having with people. It's just something that I naturally do. It's about me deciding that every battle that I'm invited to, I don't have to fight. So just because I see something I don't like or I witness something that I don't like, I don't have to always communicate how it makes me feel. I know that's very different in this world we live in today where everyone has an opinion or has a viewpoint that they need to express, and somehow they're the expert of that expression. Sometimes just not saying anything and just noticing that this isn't for me and I can remove myself from it. This is where the work from May comes into place, where you need to know your body to tell you what boundaries you really need. You might feel tension, irritation, exhaustion, or a sense of dread or tightness in your chest. That's not you being too sensitive. That's your body signaling that something needs to shift in the way you're behaving and or responding to certain things. So instead of overriding those feelings, I want you this month to listen, because self-respect is not just about what you say, it's about what you honor. So let's talk about that part that keeps people stuck: guilt. Just really quickly before we close, you might feel guilt for saying no, choosing yourself, not being available as you need to or as much as you used to be. But give yourself some grace. And I want you to understand this. Guilt doesn't always mean you're doing something wrong. Wrong. Sometimes it simply means you're doing something different, something unfamiliar, something that disrupts patterns that people have benefited from. So instead of letting the guilt stop you, let it be a signal that you're growing. And I want you to remember that growth sometimes is uncomfortable. So as we move through June, I want you to hold this question: where am I saying yes when my body is asking me to say no? Oh, my hair is about to come on down. I'm almost done, y'all. Start there. Where am I saying yes when my body is asking me to say no? Not with perfection, not with confrontation, but with awareness. Because every time you honor yourself, every time you choose alignment with over approval, you're building a life actually supporting you and those you love. And that's healing and joy. Looking for you in every situation, even when you're caring for others. I hope everyone got something from today. Boundaries, say no, listen to your body, and I will see you inside the work. And I will schedule a live option to talk about this and boundaries in general for us together later this month. Y'all be well and see you soon.